add a space, tell it we want 3 more numbers, add our dash, tell it we want 4 numbers. We've now defined a mask on the telephone number for their work number. Simply enter your number in at this point, and notice how it's automatically formatted. Another feature of AppleWorks 4.0 is an increased capacity to use dates. We've extended the range of dates that you can enter. We haven't changed the way you enter them. It's still as before. You simply define a category with the name date in it. So now we can go into the year, for instance, 2010. Let's look at March 15th, 2010. And AppleWorks simply accepts it. Now perhaps you're doing a genealogy and your great-great-great-great-great-grandmother was born, say, on April the 15th of 1387. And voila, it's accepted by AppleWorks. Another new feature in AppleWorks 4.0 is the ability to use calculated categories. That is, in any category, we can now enter a formula similar to a spreadsheet formula that allows you to manipulate any of your database data. To define a formula within a category, simply use Open Apple O to go to the Options menu, Modify Rules, and select Formula out of the menu. Then select Formula from the second menu, and we have space now for up to 240 characters of formulas. Formulas begin with an @ sign, just like in the spreadsheet. And in this case, we're going to use some of those dates and try to determine the number of days between these two dates. To do this, we need Julian date math, and we have several formulas that allow us in the database to manipulate Julian dates. In this case, we're simply going to subtract them. We'll have 2 dates, turn each one into a Julian date, and subtract them. Then type in your formula. We'll use that date to joule since we want to convert an AppleWorks date into a Julian date. Add a parentheses. Then we need to add a category. All categories must be prefixed and suffixed with a square bracket. We remember the name already of our category, today date. Now we have the first set of this formula. Since we're going to subtract, simply enter a minus sign, another @ sign. Now if you can't remember the name of your formula, use Open Apple F to get a scrolling list. Select the formula that you want. Similarly with a category, if you can't remember it, press Open Apple C, and you'll get a list of all the categories in this particular database file. Select it from the scrolling list. It automatically inserts your square brackets. Close your parentheses, and there you have it. We've entered a formula into the database. Go back and look. Notice now at the bottom of the screen it says Formula. Move the cursor off, move it back on, telling us there is a formula inside of this category. We have no information here. Similar to the spreadsheet, simply press Open Apple K, select the option that you want to use to recalculate. In this case, let's recalculate the entire file. Press E, and notice the 53 and the 82. This is telling us that between today's date of August 23, 1993 and our 2 dates, we have 53 days and 82 days respectively. You may be curious as to why we use Julian dates in AppleWorks. Julian dates are simply a mechanism that allow for easier calculations inside of AppleWorks. Whereby our date system is split into 3 parts, a date, a month, and a year. A Julian date system is a simple consecutive system which starts at a base year, such as January 1, 1904, on which we base our Julian dates in AppleWorks. This makes it very simple to be used in calculations, as you don't have to worry about conversions, and they automatically account for leap year. Another new feature is an enhanced find command. For example, it allows you to find data in a sorted category. The advantage here is its speed. For example, let's look at a find not using the sorted feature. Let's look for the name of Tanner anywhere in this file. Takes a few minutes as AppleWorks is looking for the name Tanner, and eventually we find that it finds the name Tanner. Let's try the same find though, this time using the sorted method. Sorted data, the same name Tanner. Notice it's almost instantaneous. You can have this file filled with records and the sorted find will be nearly instantaneous. Another feature we've added is the ability to find any of your changed records. For example, let's change this name to Jones. Now we've lost it, we want to find it, we know we've changed it, simply ask it to find changed records. And there it is, AppleWorks found our changed record. Let's look at some of AppleWorks' enhanced reporting capabilities. For example, we have a thing called auto sort selection, which allows us to set our selection rules from within a report. The advantage of this is that sometimes you may make changes and go to print your report, wanting a sorted report and having forgotten to sort. This will alleviate that. Anytime you go to print, the sort will automatically take place. For example, let's look at this report, Table 1. Simply press Open Apple A to change your sort selection rules. Category, let's have it sort from A to Z. Notice in your first column there, column A, it's not sorted. But let's go to Print, to the screen. And maybe you saw real quickly how it's sorted, but we have our now sorted report. Another thing we've done, since we've added the 60 categories, is we made room for all 60 categories in the report. Very simply, in a table-style report, it simply now scrolls. Let's get our report format, Table 1, all the way down to 60 categories. We have 40 represented here. In a single record layout, we've made room also for these 60 categories in a very flexible manner. Let's get a label report and look at it. Notice that we can now scroll down until we get to our 40th category. So there is room now for all 60 of your categories. Additionally, you can press an Open Apple C, which allows you to quickly format your report into columns. For example, maybe we want this 40 category report in 2 columns. Simply tell it to, and it automatically formats itself into 2 columns. Notice the 20 lines, your 36 through 40 are below this report. Similarly, maybe we want 3 columns, automatically puts us into 3 columns.
One of the new features of AppleWorks database is lookup lists. Lookup lists is a database feature allowing us to relate a piece of information in one file and use it as a sort of record selection rule in another file. For example, let's examine this recreation file. We have several names and corresponding vehicles to those names. Now what we're going to do is create a new file. Let's switch over. I've already created the file ahead of time. And what we're going to do in this file is define the lookup list. We'll press Apple O, select Define Lookup List, and we'll choose our lookup file, Recreation, press Return. What we want to do is find a match for the first category in our sample file, and we're going to look that up in the Recreation file. Now if I escape back, I'm going to enter the name Joe, which appeared several times in the Recreation file. What's going to happen when I press Open Apple J for the lookup command is that AppleWorks is going to examine the category 1, extract the name Joe, go to the other file, Glossary, which is on another desktop, and look at all the examples of Joe. There you see them. We're still in the file sample, but we're viewing data from the Recreation file in which name equals Joe. While we're in this portion of the file, we can press Open Apple Z. We can scroll around in the file, move through it just like any normal AppleWorks file, with the one difference being that we can't edit it. This is a view-only mode. AppleWorks 4.0 offers several exciting new ways of accessing database information. The glossary feature, the import feature,